That is tonight's sport. Trevor.
Thanks, Felicity. Join me again in a few minutes for a reminder of our headlines and a look at some of the front pages of tomorrow's newspapers. But first, let's link up again with our ITV colleagues around the country to hear what's been going on where you are tonight.
Good evening and welcome to the Border News. Harassment, criminal damage and disorderly behaviour. A Cumbrian grandmother's been convicted of all three after an extraordinary 4-day trial. 71-year-old Phyllis Blakesley absconded from the trial yesterday and reappeared from custody at the start of today's proceedings at Penrith Magistrates Court. She was found guilty of a prolonged campaign of harassment against her near neighbours, the Beckwith family. But tonight she walked free from custody, still protesting her innocence. Meanwhile, her victims said they hoped the matter was over. David Cragg has been in court.
Well, the culmination of yet another remarkable day in court. Mrs. Blakesley came up from the cells earlier today. She was often abusive to the judge. She refused to answer questions, was making wild statements at times. In the end, the prosecution ended their case. The judge retired for his verdict. He found her guilty of all 7 charges, but fined her in only 2, £200 each for harassment. That's a total of £400. He imposed court costs of £100, but also imposed a restraining order. That will stop, hopefully, Mrs. Blakesley from abusing her neighbours in future and putting up abusive posters. For absconding from court, she was given a day's jail, a sentence she'd effectively served. But as she was released this afternoon, she was still defiant.
I didn't come to Cumbria to go to prison. I've made a tea room. They're jealous. That's the bottom line. I have done nothing that they've said. They've provoked me.
She says she intends to appeal, but the Beckwith family were just hoping for an end to the matter.
My family and I have endured a nightmare for the past 5 years, thanks to this woman. We hope now, as a result of this case, a line can be drawn under it. All we ever wanted was to live in peace and harmony with our neighbours. We have done everything to appease the situation, even using personal mediators. Mrs. Blakesley declined to use these services.
An end, then, to a difficult case.
Police are still trying to trace the family of a man killed when fire swept through his caravan. It's believed the victim was in his 50s and had moved into the caravan in Stranraer while he was building a house. Officers have spent the last 2 days trying to trace his next of kin.
This is the caravan in which a man died in a fire. How it started isn't yet known, but detectives are trying to pinpoint the exact cause.
A neighbour observed smoke coming from this location, from a caravan at this location. Police and fire brigade attended, and the body of a 50-year-old male was discovered within, deceased.
He's been named as William Peter Cunningham. A post-mortem found he died from carbon monoxide poisoning. He'd moved to the area 4 years ago and was living in the caravan while building a new house. Detectives aren't treating his death as suspicious, but they're still appealing for help.
I appeal for any members of the public or witnesses who may have been using this road which passes this location and may have seen anything or noted any vehicles, etc., to contact Stranraer Police or any police officer.
The cause of the fire won't be known for some time.
A legal row which could have meant people having to pay for access to their own homes appears to have come to an end. It started after a man bought a title, which he then claimed gave him rights to a stretch of road leading onto a quiet street at Townhead Park in Colin near Dumfries. Residents received letters in March saying they would have to pay a fee or he would block the road. But today the council stepped in just 24 hours before the deadline to hand over the cash. The authority says it will now be adopting the road. Education in the Borders is to get a boost. Scottish Borders Council is to spend an extra £500,000 on small schools in the region, and changes have been made to the system which helps underprivileged families pay for meals and clothing.
Anyone who's paid to kit out their child for school, buy the required uniform and any other extras will know it can be an expensive business, and for some families it can be extra tough. This week, Scottish Borders Council decided to increase its family allowance for school clothing and footwear from £40 per child to £54 per child from August. The council is also making it easier to apply for school meals and simplifying the payment system of school clothing and footwear allowances. At present, families eligible for free school meals need to fill out 2 application forms, one in June and one in December. Under the new system, they'll only need to fill in 1 form. From 2006, the school clothing and footwear allowance will be paid by cheque or directly into bank accounts. Currently, parents receive vouchers for designated stores. The council is also investing an extra £500,000 to support small schools, the main aim being to provide extra clerical staff and caretakers. The changes should also make it easier for head teachers to concentrate on professional and administrative duties.
Andrew Farmer reporting. Police and trading standards officers have seized what's believed to be a quantity of counterfeit DVDs following a raid on a house in Berwick. A man in his 30s was arrested during the joint operation at the property in the Frame Road area of Spittal Hall. He was later released on bail. Inquiries are continuing. And now it's time for the regional weather forecast.
Border weather with BMIBaby.com.
Hello again. At this stage, the holiday weekend's not looking too bad. We will indeed see some sunshine, but fairly showery on Saturday and breezy too. And the best of any drier and brighter weather is looking like Sunday. Those temperatures hovering just around the average. Overnight tonight, we've had a warm front gradually edging its way in from the south, bringing patchy rain to many parts by dawn. Best of any dry conditions up towards the borders with lows of around 7 or 8 Celsius. Tomorrow morning, the sun rises at 4:47. Setting again at 9:25. So fairly disappointing first thing tomorrow. Cloudy skies, perhaps even a little bit misty in places. That rain gradually moving its way north. So for the afternoon we will see dry conditions, but unfortunately still a fair amount of cloud around. And then again further showers expected during the evening to parts of Dumfries and Galloway. Highs of around 15. Take care.
Border weather with BMIBaby.com, the airline with tiny fares.
And that's it from the late team. We'll be back tomorrow with GMTV, but now it's time to rejoin Trevor for the rest of the ITV news. Good night.
Hello again, a reminder of tonight's main news. 500,000 people